Hello and welcome to German Lessons with Mr. Ferguson. Hallo und herzlich willkommen zum Deutschunterricht mit Herrn Ferguson. Diese Stunde über die Zeitformen ist, wie man das Perfekt benutzt. How to use the perfect tense.
Bevor wir anfangen, please remember to like this video. Bitte klickt Gefällt mir and to subscribe to my channel so that I can keep helping you with your German. Bitte vergesst nicht zu abonnieren. If you're enjoying my videos, please consider buying me a coffee by clicking the banner now. All contributions are gratefully received and allow me to continue to bring you new and exciting German content whilst keeping it free to access on YouTube. Thank you to those of you who have already contributed. It's very much appreciated. Vielen Dank.
In order to fully understand this lesson, it's important that you understand how the verbs haben and sein work. If you're not sure, please start by watching my video all about the verb haben by clicking the banner now. The perfect tense in German is one of the two past tenses, the other being the imperfect, which will be discussed in a future video. To use the perfect tense, you also need to have an understanding of what is meant by a regular verb. If you're not sure, please click here to watch that video. The perfect tense is called a compound tense because it requires two separate parts to make sense. The method I've developed to explain the perfect tense is called Shep. When teaching, I like to refer to Shep as a German shepherd who, unfortunately, is no longer with us. Shep was a perfect dog, hence the perfect tense. Shep is an acronym which stands for the following. S. Subject. The person or thing who is doing the action. H. Helping verb. This is a form of either haben or sein, depending on the subject and the action being done. I'll talk more about this shortly. E. Extra information. Any information which is not required but helps to give the sentence more meaning. And P. Past participle. The name given to the past tense form of a verb. In English, regular past participles are formed by adding ed. For example, I played, she listened, he downloaded, etc. To decide on which helping verb, haben or sein, to use the following thought process. Use the verb sein as the helping verb if there is movement from one place to another. For example, went, ran, walked, flew, etc. It's important to know what's meant here. If I say, I played football, then I will obviously have moved during that game. I did not, however, change my location from the football pitch. If I say, I read a book, my hands and eyes will have moved, but I didn't move from one place to another, so neither of these examples would fall into the movement from one place to another category. Use sein if you're saying stayed or remained. And if there is what we call a change of state. For example, woke up, went to sleep, became something new, was born, died, etc. To say was, we would technically need to use the verb sein as the helping verb, if using the perfect tense. But in 999 out of 1,000 cases, you'll see was written in the imperfect tense in German. So I will discuss how to do this in the imperfect tense video. Keep an eye out for this in the coming weeks. If none of the above criteria are met, use the verb haben as the helping verb. This will be the most common helping verb to use in the perfect tense. Now you have your S and H, and if you're confident writing an extra information section by using nouns, prepositions, adjective endings and cases, you need to learn the past participles. We'll start with the regular past participles of regular verbs. Here are some examples in their infinitive form. Spielen, to play, kaufen, to buy, machen, to make or to do, hören, to listen to. To form the past participle, we once again need the stem of the verb, obtained by removing the en or n ending. So the stems of the above verbs are Spiel, Kauf, mach and hör. We now add ge to the front and t to the end. So the past participles are as follows. Gespielt, gekauft, gemacht, gehört. If you're unsure whether a verb is regular or irregular, always guess with the regular pattern. Irregular verbs have unusual past participles, but there are still some patterns that we can look for. Let's start with strong verbs. If you're unsure what these are, please click here to view the strong verbs video. Some common strong verbs in their infinitive forms are sehen, to watch, lesen, to read, fahren, to go by vehicle or to drive, laufen, to run. These verbs have a past participle which ends in en instead of t. For example, if sehen were regular, its past participle would be geseht, but its past participle is in fact gesehen. Lesen becomes gelesen, fahren, gefahren, laufen, gelaufen, and so on. Note that the verb essen, to eat, has a past participle of gegessen, mainly because geessen is harder to pronounce. If a verb already has a prefix, such as vergessen, to forget, its past participle won't be gevergessen. We will just use vergessen. For example, ich habe alles vergessen. Subject, helping verb, extra information, past participle. I forgot everything. Notice that when we're translating into English from German, we do not need to translate the helping verb. Sometimes, strong verbs have vowel changes in their past participles. So nehmen, to take, goes to genommen. Ich habe Medikamente genommen. I took medicine. Helfen, to help. Geholfen. Hat mir geholfen. He helped me. Notice that we use mir in the dative case here because helfen triggers the dative. Werden, to become, becomes geworden. Ich bin reich geworden. I became rich. Here we use sein as the helping verb as there's a change of state. I've become something new. Some verbs are regular in the present tense but irregular in the perfect tense. Some common ones are trinken, to drink, which becomes getrunken. For example, ich trinke Cola, I drink Coke. Ich habe Wasser getrunken, I drank water. Bleiben, to stay or to remain, which becomes geblieben. Ich bleibe hier, I'm staying here. Ich bin zu Hause geblieben, I stayed at home. Notice that the helping verb is sein, as we said stayed. Schreiben, to write, geschrieben. Ich schreibe einen Brief. I'm writing a letter. Hat ein Buch geschrieben. He wrote a book. Finden, to find, gefunden. Ich finde Deutsch toll. I find German great. Ich habe den Film langweilig gefunden. I found the film boring. Verstehen, to understand. Verstanden. Ich verstehe dich nicht. I don't understand you. Sie hat mich nicht verstanden. She didn't understand me. Finally, there are some irregular verbs with highly irregular past participles, the main one of which is sein, whose past participle is gewesen. For example, ich bin müde gewesen. I was tired. As I mentioned earlier, it would be much more efficient to use the imperfect tense here. Ich war müde. But this will be discussed in a later lesson. This is by no means an exhaustive list of past participles, and it's always worth learning a verb's past participle when you learn the verb itself. A good way to use this is to use the website dict.cc again. As you can see here, when looking for the verb sprechen, to speak, we also find the imperfect form, sprach, and the past participle, gesprochen. Finally, if using a time phrase or a location first in a Shep sentence, we will still use inversion, meaning that the sentence will look like this. Time phrase or location, helping verb, subject, extra information, past participle. This is so that the verb still remains in the second position. For example, gestern habe ich Fußball gespielt. Yesterday, I played football. If using a subordinating conjunction or a boot word, such as weil, meaning because, it will be the helping verb that moves. For example, ich habe Deutsch gelernt. I learned German. Weil ich Deutsch gelernt habe. Because I learned German. So that's how to form the perfect tense in German. It's a good idea to pause the video now to remind yourself how the Shep construction can help your word order and the formulation of the tense, as well as how to form regular past participles and how to form the past participles of strong verbs. Remember, too, that the helping verb will be affected by inversion and subordination.
Habe ich etwas vergessen? Have I forgotten anything? If you're a native German speaker and you think I've forgotten to say something important about the verb haben, or if you conjugate haben in a different way due to your accent or dialect, please let me know by writing a comment below. Bitte schreibt einen Kommentar. Finally, remember to click subscribe to receive all of my German lesson videos, language learning tips and updates. You can follow me on Instagram with the username Herr Ferguson or on Twitter under @HerrFerguson. Otherwise, from me, it's Danke und auf Wiedersehen.